auditory domain, right? So they are, after all this time, like up against one another. And that's a strange kind of face-to-face that she's invoking at that moment. I don't know if she's identifying with him, but she's certainly, she's installing him in a linguistic community, and indeed as part of that very plurality, who could be addressed or could at least hypothetically respond. So it's very awkward for her to be delivering a direct address to someone she has already said is not home, is no person, cannot hear, is impervious to appeal. As if to animate that, listen, before you go down, I want you to hear this last thing. But, you know, I think there's several kinds of strange positionings there. You know, I have to say that I'm personally not so interested in stupidity, thinking. I think there's thinking well. I think what interests me about the discourse on thinking, I don't really care if it's right, to tell you the truth, but what interests me in the discourse of thinking is that she's actually trying to say that to think well is actually to develop a certain kind of commitment to cohabitation, and that annihilation is a very bad way of thinking. And I'm interested in how this apparently epistemological problem of thinking actually implicitly commits us to a social ontology. If you know, I think that's worth pursuing.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Judith, for a very closely argued and almost passionate dissection of this book, which I read many years ago, and I'm really here at Sasford, been reading along with you. I'm very interested in the judgment that you highlight. One is the letting go of the journalistic or philosophical voice, whatever tradition, because she wrote it as journalism and then rewrote it as philosophy, and moving from that voice to the I. There's a lot of I in there, however equivocated it is. And then this double thing that she does is it addresses Eichmann as you. This is very troublesome for the reader. Her interlocutor is no longer Eichmann, but the reader that probably would want to share her values, and yet you hear you, and one feels a couple of things. One is it's very personal to Eichmann. The letter sent to Eichmann, but it's also said to me, Vincenzo, right after the war, Italian, and suddenly now I'm on trial. I'm being addressed for my sins, which I accept.
Yeah.
And yet, it's a very complex movement. And the second part of my curiosity is that she would condemn him at all, and to death particularly, because cohabitation means no longer pronouncing the death penalty. And I agree with Martin Buber that he should not have been sentenced to death, but sentenced to life among those whom he wished to annihilate from the planet. I would have gone farther than Buber. I would have let him go to live his life as he wished.
You'd have him hanging out in Buenos Aires. Oh. Okay.
But that's another story.
Okay.
But those 2 points about the switching of the voices,
yes,
and the judgment and the condemning to.
Okay, let me say this. It's very interesting. At the beginning of Eichmann in Jerusalem, she says this is a trial, but it's a show. It's theatrical. The Israeli state is putting this trial on for the world to see. Okay, and then toward the end, when she says, if the judges had dared to say what they were saying or make plain what they were saying, they would have delivered the sentence in the following way for all to see. So again, she's entering into the idea of the spectacle, kind of making the spectacle in her own terms. Now she's the dramaturgical, agency of the scene. So I'm not sure she's addressing you and saying you're guilty and deserve to die. She's saying you witness the whole world having become the jurors, right? The reader as juror, right? I want you to see
what. I see that there. I see that she wants to include in this you all the other future actors in this drama.
Yeah. Yes, any and all future actors in any and all future genocides. Yes, I think that's right.
What about the death penalty?
Well, I'll just reiterate the point I made in the paper. I hope quick. But what I think she's saying is that the death penalty is just when it is applied to those who commit genocidal crimes of genocide, and that any genocidal, any legal code that that embraces genocide or promotes genocide is an unjust legal code and must be refused. So I think she wants to suggest that genocide has a kind of exceptional character. Those who commit genocide may be put to death in order to preserve the plurality of life. Those laws that are designed for genocide must be disobeyed in order to preserve the plurality of life, and that we must have this pre-legal norm. We must have this pre-legal commitment that lets us decide in the one instance and the other. What will govern that? Well, that's what makes people nervous about her sovereign judgment. That's what makes people nervous.
I never understand. Giorgio, you are just bringing your ear. You don't want to ask. Okay. Or don't you have a question?
You might have a statement,
Carl Schmidt?
but he'll tell me tomorrow.
Something when Marital suggested kind of evoked Kafka.
Yes.
I think it's correct. I mean that we must not forget the strange form, you must die. This is not a juridical form. It's not you will be angry.
Mm-hmm.
You must act. It's a strange form, you must act. What do you think?
You must die. It's biblical. I think it's more I don't know. No?
Must die seems a kind of not proper formulation. If it is a condemnation,
Yes.
you should not say you must die. Must die is it's not juridical.
Well, the whole thing is not juridical, right? I mean, the whole...
You said this, that she's not speaking from a juridical point.
Yes.
You must die sounds strange.
You must hang.
Sounds
This is the reason and the only reason you must hang. Yeah. You must hang. I don't know what it sounds like something is being cited. I don't know what's being cited there. But it's also very graphic. It's more graphic. But indeed, you know, the whole final sentencing, we expect a kind of rationale to be given. But it's actually not, it's actually very chaotic. And it doesn't follow legal.
She gives it in the most irrational way. You must hang.
Yes.
As if there is a kind of irony in that formulation.
You think? Irony. I didn't read it as ironic.
Anyway, I struck by this formulation. You must hang.
You must hang. Okay.
Would that be in German?
Well, she wrote it in English. It's English.
She wrote it in English,
But she might have some Germanisms in her mind.
Muss hängen. Okay. This, now we must close.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.